The British royal family remains one of the most heavily scrutinized institutions in modern history, where every public appearance, every shared glance, and every deliberate absence is analyzed for hidden meaning by millions around the globe. In the contemporary era, the line between private family dynamics and public constitutional duty has blurred to an unprecedented degree, creating an environment where a simple weekend gathering can signal a seismic shift in the internal hierarchy of the monarchy. For decades, the House of Windsor has attempted to project an image of absolute unity, stability, and moral authority, masking the deep personal fractures and systemic crises that threaten its public standing. Yet, beneath the polished veneer of ceremonial precision lies a complex web of individual ambitions, deep-seated personal tragedies, and a relentless struggle for institutional survival. When the extended family gathers under the watchful eye of the global media, the stakes are invariably higher than they appear on the surface, transforming a private celebration into a high-stakes arena of public relations and damage control. Over the past weekend, the idyllic English countryside became the stage for just such a delicate balancing act, drawing the highest echelons of the monarchy out into the public eye for an event that quickly captured international headlines. The occasion was an intimate family milestone, a moment that should have been defined solely by personal happiness, romantic celebration, and a fresh chapter for the individuals involved. However, when you belong to a dynasty that spans centuries, personal milestones are never truly private, and the guest list itself becomes a highly calculated document of political inclusion and social exclusion. The world watched with bated breath as the heavyweights of the institution arrived in Gloucestershire, navigating the narrow pathways of a quaint village to witness a significant union. On the surface, the atmosphere was one of joyous celebration, a rare moment of collective relief for a family that has endured an unprecedented barrage of challenges, health scares, and reputational damage in recent times. The presence of the sovereign and the senior heirs lent the event an undeniable weight, elevating it far above a standard family affair into a major symbolic demonstration of continuity and institutional resilience. Yet, as the cameras flashed and the spectators cheered, the true narrative of the day was unfolding not through those who stood at the absolute center of the celebration, but through those who occupied the complex, fragile margins of the gathering. Among the notable attendees were two prominent sisters whose very presence immediately ignited an intense global debate regarding their current standing, their long-term future, and the heavy burden of their lineage. For months, these two individual women had remained largely out of sight, retreating into the shadows as a catastrophic legal and social storm reached a devastating, historic crescendo around their immediate household. Their sudden emergence alongside the working core of the family represented a fascinating paradox, a moment that seasoned commentators describe as a subtle, cautious coming in from the cold. It was a visual confirmation that despite the radioactive nature of recent events, they have not been entirely abandoned by their powerful relatives. This delicate choreography highlights the eternal tension within the monarchy, an entity that must simultaneously operate as a strict constitutional institution and a supportive, resilient family network. To fully understand the profound significance of this appearance, one must look closely at the intricate mechanics of royal imagery and how public perception is meticulously managed during moments of extreme institutional crisis. For these two sisters, walking into that countryside church was an act of profound personal courage and calculated risk, knowing that their every movement, expression, and outfit would be viewed through the lens of a massive global scandal. The public has long debated the fairness of holding children accountable for the actions of their parents, a moral dilemma that is magnified 1,000-fold when those children bear historic royal titles and represent a nation. They find themselves in an incredibly precarious position, trapped between their enduring personal affection for their family and their undeniable duty to the crown that grants them their status and privilege. As the day progressed, the visual of these individuals interacting with senior royals offered a glimmer of hope for their supporters, suggesting that a total, permanent exile from the social fabric of the family was not on the immediate horizon. If you wish to stay updated on the unfolding developments of this complex dynamic and explore the hidden truths behind the palace walls, consider hitting the subscribe button to ensure you never miss our deep dives into these historic events. The delicate nature of their return to the public sphere becomes even clearer when contrasted with the absolute silence and absence that surrounded their parents, who were entirely barred from the weekend's festivities. The strategic exclusion of certain individuals is just as powerful a communicative tool as the inclusion of others, serving as an unambiguous declaration of where the boundaries of the modern monarchy are currently drawn. While the sisters were allowed to step back into the light, the heavy shadow cast by an ongoing high-stakes investigation hung heavily over the entire event, serving as a silent reminder of the crisis that continues to threaten the family's long-term legacy. The institutional machinery of the palace understands that public trust is a fragile commodity, one that can easily be eroded by even the slightest perception of corruption or elite exceptionalism. Therefore, the decision to permit these sisters to attend was likely subjected to intense internal debate, balancing the human desire for family unity against the cold, calculated necessity of protecting the crown's reputation. This delicate visual balancing act occurs against the backdrop of a broader, systemic restructuring of the royal household, a process that has been accelerated by both necessity and deliberate design over the past few years. The modern monarchy is actively attempting to redefine its role in contemporary society, transitioning toward a more streamlined, efficient, and accountable structure that can withstand intense public and financial scrutiny. In this new, unforgiving landscape, every individual's position is being re-evaluated, and the traditional privileges that were once taken for granted are no longer guaranteed to anyone outside the direct line of succession. The presence of the sisters at a major family event underscores the reality that while they may no longer occupy a central role in official state duties, they remain an indelible part of the family's personal fabric. The complex interplay between personal relationships and institutional survival ensures that this ongoing saga will continue to captivate the public, serving as a compelling case study in the challenges of navigating modern nobility. As the world reflects on the images of solidarity displayed over the weekend, the underlying tensions remain entirely unresolved, setting the stage for a deeper exploration of the specific events, legal realities, and shocking developments that have brought the family to this extraordinary historical turning point. The picturesque gathering in Gloucestershire, meant to celebrate the marriage of Peter Phillips and Harriet Spurlings, served as a stunning visual backdrop for a family attempting to maintain normalcy under the weight of an escalating institutional crisis. While the sun shone on the historic venue, the true focus of international observers was the arrival of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, the two sisters stepped into the public eye together, appearing alongside the wider royal family without the protective presence of their parents. Their attendance immediately raised critical questions about their current standing within the House of Windsor. For years, Beatrice and Eugenie have walked a treacherous tightrope, attempting to carve out independent lives and careers while maintaining their identities as blood princesses of the realm. However, the unfolding legal disaster surrounding their father, the former Prince Andrew, has fundamentally transformed their reality, casting a permanent shadow over their titles, their public roles, and their social acceptance. The visual of the sisters joining senior members of the monarchy at a high-profile family event was interpreted by many as a significant development, a moment that royal editor Emily Nash described as coming in from the cold to an extent. Yet, as experts quickly pointed out, a sharp distinction must be made between being embraced by a supportive family and being officially validated by a centuries-old constitutional institution. The monarchy operates on two distinct levels that frequently intersect but remain governed by vastly different rules. On one hand, it is a human family bound by blood, affection, and shared history, where uncles, aunts, and cousins seek to offer comfort to relatives enduring a profoundly difficult period. On the other hand, it is a rigid, unyielding institution of state that must protect its reputation at all costs, completely separate from personal sentiments. The invitation to the wedding was undoubtedly a genuine show of personal support for Beatrice and Eugenie from their cousin Peter Phillips, but it did not represent an official stamp of approval from the crown itself. The lines dividing the private family from the public monarchy are drawn with absolute precision, and the sisters remain firmly on the outside of official royal duties as guests arrived at the ceremony. The contrast between those who were welcomed and those who were explicitly left off the guest list became a primary topic of discussion among attendees and the global media. While Beatrice and Eugenie successfully made the cut, despite their father's unfolding legal scandal, their cousin Prince Harry was notably absent from the festivities. The revelation that the groom, Peter Phillips, had not spoken to Harry for several years underscored the deep, natural cooling off that has occurred within the younger generation of the royal family. This deliberate exclusion highlighted the fracturing of relationships that were once considered unbreakable, proving that personal distance can become permanent when public and private trust is broken. Meanwhile, the presence of the core working monarchy, including King Charles III, Queen Camilla, Prince William, and Kate Middleton, sent a powerful message of institutional solidarity. They stood together, unified and resolute, presenting a barrier of dignity intended to shield the crown from the chaotic controversies swirling just beyond the palace gates. For Princess Beatrice, now 37, and Princess Eugenie, 36, the weekend was a rare, uplifting moment of unity during an incredibly stressful and agonizing chapter of their lives. The sisters have faced intense public scrutiny through no fault of their own, forced to witness the total dismantling of their father's public life and legacy. The ongoing investigation into the former Prince Andrew's alleged crimes has kept their names in the headlines, prompting intense speculation about the long-term viability of their royal status. Observers have openly wondered whether the princesses ever look back with a sense of hindsight, contemplating how different and perhaps how much easier their lives might have been had they never been granted royal titles at birth. Peter Phillips, who possesses no official title but enjoys all the practical benefits and warmth of being Princess Anne's son, serves as a poignant example of an alternative path, one free from the crushing weight of institutional expectation and the public backlash that accompanies a royal downfall. The immediate strategy for Beatrice and Eugenie is to navigate the present reality with grace, finding comfort in the fact that they have not been entirely ousted from the family circle like their mother, Sarah Ferguson, and their father, until the full extent of the allegations against their father is legally resolved and the complex judicial proceedings reach a definitive conclusion. Being included in private family events is the absolute best outcome the sisters can hope for. The tension, however, remains palpable, as the public constantly debates whether their historic titles should remain intact or be stripped away as part of the monarchy's ongoing efforts to distance itself from controversy. Every smile captured by the cameras at the wedding was undercut by the knowledge that a major legal storm is unfolding in the background, a reality that ensures their position will remain precarious for the foreseeable future. The stability they experienced over the weekend was merely a temporary respite, a brief moment of calm before the narrative shifts entirely to the gravity of the legal forces that are actively reshaping the destiny of the York family and the broader monarchy. The stark contrast between the joyful celebration inside the Gloucestershire church and the unfolding legal devastation outside defines the modern reality of the House of Windsor. To fully grasp why the presence of Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie at the wedding of Peter Phillips matters so profoundly, one must look at the gravity of the crisis surrounding their father, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. Stripped of his official royal titles, the former prince experienced a historic fall from grace that culminated in a dramatic arrest on his 66th birthday on February 19th. The arrest, executed on suspicion of misconduct in public office, represents the first time a senior member of the immediate family has been taken into police custody in connection with the declassified files of the late Jeffrey Epstein. The core of the investigation involves serious allegations that the former prince used his official government role as a United Kingdom trade envoy to forward confidential trade and financial documents to Epstein. If the ongoing investigation leads to a formal prosecution in the Crown Court and results in a conviction, the common law offence carries a maximum potential sentence of life imprisonment. Blue Win is Show 2. The institutional response to this unprecedented legal crisis has been swift and unyielding, reflecting a deliberate strategy to shield the Crown from the fallout of the criminal inquiry. Senior royals understand that public trust in the monarchy rests on the fundamental principle that no individual, regardless of birthright or aristocratic status, is above the law. When the news of the arrest broke, the palace released a statement expressing deep concern, while emphasizing that the legal process must take its independent course with the full cooperation of the household. This institutional abandonment left the former prince entirely isolated, a reality that directly impacts the social and public standing of his daughters. Beatrice and Eugenie must now carry the weight of a family name that has become synonymous with one of the most explosive global scandals of the 21st century. Their inclusion in the weekend nuptials was a delicate balancing act, an effort to show that while the institution has completely severed ties with the father, the family still retains affection for the daughters who bear no responsibility for his actions. Tank Jowett. Show 1. The lives and biographies of the event participants further illuminate the complex dynamics at play during the countryside gathering. The groom, Peter Phillips, who is 48 years old, occupies a unique position as the eldest grandchild of the late Queen Elizabeth II and the only son of Princess Anne. Raised intentionally without royal titles by his mother, Peter has spent his life enjoying the privacy and commercial freedom of a private citizen while maintaining an incredibly close bond with his cousins, Prince William and Prince Harry. His wedding to Harriet Sperling, a 45-year-old pediatric nurse and freelance writer, marked a fresh start for his family following his amicable divorce from his first wife, Autumn Kelly, which was finalized several years ago. The presence of Peter's daughters, Savannah and Isla, alongside Harriet's daughter Georgina, as bridesmaids highlighted the creation of a modern, blended family that mirrors the evolving social standards of the contemporary world. For Harriet, the elegant ceremony at All Saints' Church in Kemble served as a high-profile debut into the extended royal circle, walking down the aisle in a custom lace gown designed by Amelia Wickstead. Town and Country Magazine. Show 2. The deliberate choreography of the wedding guest list also served to clarify the current boundaries of the royal inner circle, confirming who remains within the fold and who has been permanently cast aside. While Beatrice and Eugenie were permitted to attend, the total absence of Prince Harry highlighted the enduring frostbite that has settled over relations between the California-based royal and his UK relatives. The revelation that Peter Phillips and Prince Harry have experienced a natural cooling off and have not spoken for several years explains why the Duke of Sussex was omitted from the celebration. This internal division reinforces the reality that the younger generation of royals is deeply fractured, with little hope for an immediate reconciliation. Meanwhile, the presence of working royals such as Prince Edward and Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh, alongside Zara and Mike Tyndall, demonstrated a unified front, presenting a wall of solidarity designed to project stability to a watching world. The family gathered to support Peter and Harriet, but they were also hyper-aware that the public eye was searching for any sign of weakness or further internal division. Harper's Bazaar, the long-term future for Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, remains shrouded in uncertainty as the criminal investigation into their father continues to produce damaging revelations. Recently, report details emerged indicating that a massive archive of over 30,000 emails had been handed to senior palace officials years ago, appearing to detail the former prince's problematic financial and trade envoy activities. As these tranches of information continue to enter the public domain through official judicial channels, the pressure on the monarchy to completely strip the sisters of their remaining titles could intensify. For now, the princesses must navigate this challenging period by maintaining a low profile, fulfilling their private charitable commitments, and appreciating the limited inclusion they are granted at private family gatherings. The weekend wedding provided a brief uplifting moment of joy and family connection. But it could not erase the looming reality of a pending trial that threatens to permanently alter their lives. As the legal proceedings move toward a definitive conclusion, the story of the York sisters stands as a powerful reminder of how quickly the fortunes of royalty can be reshaped by the unyielding demands of modern accountability.